look at the defense for the Indians. In the outfield, Albert Bell, Kenny Lofton, and rookie Manny Ramirez in right field. Vizquel and Baerga, great team up the middle. Kenny Lofton with that great range in center field. And Sandy Alomar Jr., the key for the Indians this year is to keep him behind the plate. They need him to catch 135, 140 ball games. He hasn't done that since 1990, his rookie season. Injuries have kept him out of the lineup.
So with a one down, the third baseman Edgar Martinez is up, and not a lot of people remember that in 1992 he hit .343. Not only did that win the batting championship, but that was the highest total by a batting champ right-handed hitter in the American League since Harvey Key in 1959. Last year, Edgar played only 42 games due to a hamstring injury, so just with him being back, the team is better.
And he had a great spring. Really hit the ball hard. He hits the ball to all fields. Good change up there, had him out in front.
Eddie Murray will not play first base that often. It's Sorrento, but with the left-handed Johnson going, Murray plays. And oh, by the way, he is now the all-time game leader, games played at first base, 2,368. Jake Beckley. And there's a shot down the right field line. Boy, it's hard to read the angles yet. We're going to need a few innings. That hung in there a little longer than I thought. It's a foul ball. Anyway, back to Murray. He will now have played more games at first base than anyone else in the history of the major leagues. And they're going to have a ceremony here in about an inning. They're going to pull the base out and give it to him.
Were you surprised when you heard that?
Yes.
I was really surprised. I didn't realize that he was in that category.
There's the always dangerous Ken Griffey Jr. on deck. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 1 out, top of the first. Shot foul wide of Sammy Perlazo.
Take a look with Martinez at the plate. Having him back in the lineup is very important. This is the lowest on-base percentage of the 1 and 2 hitters in '93. The Mariners just 30% of the time on base. But with Martinez back there in that 2 spot, hitting ahead of Jr., that's going to mean he's on base an awful lot more runs for the Mariners.
Oh, that drilled him.
We talked about Martinez trying to protect that outside corner, and that's what he does with that fastball. Watch Edgar dive in there, and it caught him on the wrist. Anytime you get hit around the hand, it's a concern. It's so easy to get a broken finger or a fractured bone in your hand. You can see he was thinking out over the plate, trying to protect against that breaking ball, and Martinez, Dennis, ran that ball up and in on Edgar.
88 miles an hour, a little more giddy up than you would think from that pitch from Dennis. That fooled Martinez.
In the National League, everybody knows Dennis's reputation of coming inside and trying to bust the hitters off the plate and intimidate them. Lou Piniella will be very disappointed if Edgar has a serious injury that keeps him out of the lineup.
Disappointed.
They were crushed last year when they lost him with that spring training hamstring injury.
Well, I mean, that's not the way that Piniella wanted to improve that on-base percentage of the first 2 spots.
Now, here's a couple of pretty good hitters right here.
Yeah.
Piniella and Murray. And Lou looked at Eddie as if to say, yeah, well, what about Dennis out there? I don't know, you know. I got my hitter who almost hit a home run down the right field line that just drifted foul, and then Dennis pumps him inside. That running fastball. Lou's probably saying, well, you know, we got this guy Randy Johnson pitching on our side today, and you guys might want to be a little bit alert there.
So Martinez, the base runner, the Mariners' first base runner of the 1994 season. There's 1 out, and Ken Griffey Jr. is up. Leading vote getter last year, all the American League players for the All-Star game. Why? Well, he only had 45 home runs, led the league in that department, not to mention the slugging department. Had 109 RBIs, hit .309. Junior buying his first pennant race. And that'll be fun if that happens.
Let's take a look at the way the defense plays against Ken Griffey Jr. He's got power to all fields. Lofton with great speed, just a shade toward the right side. Infield basically straight away. Baerga stepped toward first base. Griffey uses the whole field. It's an adjustment process for the defense playing behind the pitcher for the first time. They know how their former starters would pitch to Griffey, but they've got to learn what Dennis Martinez is going to do to him.
Well, an adjustment process because they're playing behind Martinez and in a new park where the balls are hit. The Mariners know the caroms at this point as well as the Indians players do.
Yeah, there's no home field advantage for the first couple of series here.
Last year against the Indians, of course, had the worst pitching in the American League, and Ken Griffey Jr. one of the reasons why.
Well, the entire Mariner team hit .316 against Cleveland.
Well, he was going to be pretty particular with Ken Griffey Jr. He'll walk him on 4 pitches. Martinez down to second. But that'll bring up Jay Buhner. I don't think he's any slouch. 27 home runs last year for Jay Ferris Buhner, who certainly had no day off. He had 25 the year before and 27 the year before that. So power, nothing new to this man. And remember, short down the line, 325 down the left field line here at Jacobs Field. That's not that much. Wind going out, although a little bit from left to center. Curveball fouled off. Strike one.
You know, I talked to the Mariners about what they expected to see from Dennis Martinez, and Ken Griffey Jr. said, well, I saw him pitch in Japan during those postseason tours, and I know that he tries to get that curveball over away from the right-handed hitters, and he comes inside. He's got good movement on his fastball.
Outside, 1-1. 2 runners on, top of the first, no score.
Dennis had an outstanding spring. He really threw the ball well. Had a little extra giddy up in his fastball, and Mike Hargrove felt that he deserved to pitch here opening day.
Way outside and away. Ball 2, 2-1. Buhner enjoys hitting in these newfangled parks. Now, how do you think I come up with that? Well, he was the first right-handed hitter to hit it over the scoreboard in right center field at Camden Yards. So keep that in mind. The man has power. Also, oh, by the way, hit one in the old Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, 463 feet. So 325 down the line, pretty close, and obviously a little too close for Dennis Martinez, working it low and away. 2-1 pitch. Try to sneak it inside. Buhner wasn't buying. It's 3-1. Dennis will take his time out there. He and Mike Hargrove, his manager, a perfect matchup, aren't they, Buck?
They take them a long time to get things going.
Nothing doing, but Edgar had to snap back into second base as Baerga drifted over. It was chilly here yesterday, that's for sure, but the sun out, yeah, you got to wear a sweater or a coat, but it's just perfect. 3-1 pitch. Buhner ahead of it, 3-2.
Looked like Martinez took something off of that pitch, and that's what you get when you get a veteran pitcher like Dennis Martinez. He'll never give in to those power hitters. Take a look at Buhner's swing. Looked like he was out in front of it as it was an off-speed pitch, a little straight changeup that he threw 3-1. You don't do that unless you've got all those innings under your belt. Confidence.
Big pitch coming up here. 3-2, 2 on, 1 out. Top of the first. Outside, and the sacks are full for one of the newest Mariners, Eric Little Anthony. Came over from the Houston Astros in a trade this December for Mike Hampton and Mike Tiny Felder. Mike Hargrove watching his new ace, Dennis Martinez, struggle with the bases loaded. Dennis Martinez, 7th consecutive opening day start Obviously, the previous 6 with the Montreal Expos. It seems like he's thrown about 50 pitches, doesn't it, Buck? There's a nice looking pitch over the outside corner for a strike.
Anthony, of course, faced Martinez when they were both in the National League last several years, so he's got a good idea what Dennis wants to do to him.
Rip, but he gets under the ball to right field. Manny Ramirez, the young right fielder, will make the catch. Here's Edgar Martinez tagging the throw, comes to second base, and the Mariners lead it 1-0. Anthony underneath the ball. But here's an example of how the Mariners have yet to amass a base hit. They still have runners on the corners, and they already have 1 run home.
Well, this is the thing that Lou Piniella is trying to impress upon this ball club. Take advantage of the opportunities that the other team gives you. Martinez hit Edgar Martinez with 1 out, and they move up on the base on balls, and then Eric Anthony gets the fly ball deep enough to right field. You got to cash in those scoring opportunities.
Well, this is the first baseman, Tino Martinez, and to steal a line from the Montreal Expos public relations man extraordinaire Rich Griffin. But what we're seeing this afternoon in Cleveland is clearly a 3 Martinez lunch, with Dennis pitching to Edgar and Tino.
I gotta give credit where it's due, however.
Oh, this one is down the right field line, but it will curve foul. I'll tell you what, he didn't get very much of that, Buck. Now, if you straighten that out to the foul pole, I could have gotten to the wall. My point is, 325 is pretty short, especially with the wind blowing out just a tad today.
Well, the Indians players who played here on Saturday believe that this will eventually be a hitter's ballpark. The dimensions are very comfortable. Not much foul territory.
Fastball up top. And we mentioned that Dennis Martinez he's making his 7th consecutive opening day start. Jack Morris had pitched 14 opening days. 11 with Detroit, 1 with Minnesota, 2 with Toronto. He wishes he could be in there, but he's watched Martinez wriggle free as Manny Ramirez squeezes the fly ball by Tino Martinez. The Mariners get on the board, but it could have been worse. Indians coming up. On the lakefront at Cleveland, a view of downtown Cleveland, the Gateway Center, and of course, Jacobs Field. A little bit off of Lake Erie. They figure that'll be 8 or 9 degrees warmer. The breezes won't hit the park first thing off the lake. Here's the lineup for the Indians. Kenny Lofton leads off in center field. Omar Vizquel hits second as a shortstop. Carlos, 1 if by land, 2 if by sea, 3 if by air. Is the second baseman. It's third. Albert Bell, the cleanup hitter in left field. Eddie Eat, Drink, and B. Murray is the first baseman. Candy Maldonado gets the start today against the tough left-hander as the DH. Sandy Alomar Jr. behind the plate hitting 7th. The youngster Manny Ramirez in right field hitting 8th. Mark Lewis, the opening day starter at third base, will hit 9th. And they'll go against the strikeout leader in the major leagues last season. 19-game winner, left-handed, 6'10", Randy Johnson.
Made 34 starts for the Mariners last year and really came into his own. He felt he came on the start of the midway through the 92 season. 185 hits in 255 innings. That translates into a 203 opponent's batting average. He doesn't give up much. 308 strikeouts and 99 walks. His control has been much better.
Lefty Kenny Lofton steps in, and as you had suspected, Buck, the first pitch a little tight.
Lofton didn't really dig in, did he? Thinking about Edgar Martinez being hit by a pitch.
Ball 2 to Kenny Lofton. Lofton led the major leagues in steals last year with 70, so you know he can run. Hence, Edgar Martinez in on the grass at third base. Didn't take long. Randy Johnson works quicker than Dennis Martinez, but it's a 4-pitch walk, and Lofton is aboard.
Well, that's what they want to do. Lou Piniella doesn't want to see Kenny Lofton on base early in this ball game. He did a good job of keeping it off last year. He just hit 205, but he still stole 6 bases and wasn't caught. There's his numbers for the season.
That'll bring up Omar Vizquel. And there's a new third baseman. So just when Lou Piniella didn't want to see, Edgar Martinez, we don't know if it's precautionary or if it's something serious. We'll get a word. But Mike Blowers is in at third base, replacing Edgar Martinez, who got hit on the wrist by Dennis Martinez's pitch. Count is 1-0 to Omar Vizquel. Last year, a Seattle Mariner. Won a Gold Glove with the Mariners last year. So he certainly knows Randy Johnson well and knows that if Johnson gets behind the hitters early, it's a struggle for the tallest pitcher ever in the major leagues, tallest player ever in the major leagues.
Well, one thing about Randy Johnson, he can walk the bases loaded, but he can strike out to side and strand 3 runners.
Lofton bluffs, and Johnson still can't find the strike zone. 3-0. 7 balls from Randy Johnson. You pointed out all the numbers last year, Buck. To me, the most impressive for Randy Johnson was 99 walks. There's a strike, the first strike. Before that, the 2 years previous to last season, Johnson was in the 130, 140 range for walks. Matter of fact, he led the American League in 90, 91, and 92 in walks. So he cut that down by 40 or 45 last season. Part of the reason he was so overpowering. There goes the runner. There's the throw on a strike. And whoa! Dan Wilson has just gunned down the stolen base leaders in the major league from last year, Kenny Lofton. Yowza.
What a great throw. Randy Johnson did a good job to help out the catcher. Watch a little slide step. Not much of a move there. Lofton takes a peek at home and right on the money. Good, strong throw, very quick. Take another look at this stolen base attempt by the league leader. There's the throw, a strike to second. The tag at second. He's out easy.
Lofton is gone. Vizquel then walked. So with 1 out, Vizquel aboard. And Carlos Baerga, the all-star second baseman, steps up. Baerga last season and even 200 hits. See his batting average of .321, 5th best in the American League. 2 straight years, Baerga had 200 hits. There's only one other second baseman in the history of Major League Baseball to have seasons of 300, 200 hits, 20 homers, and 100 RBIs. And Rogers Hornsby. That's pretty good company for Mr. Baerga. Inside, Baerga whacked at it, fouled it back. Count is 1-1.
Well, the Indians know what they get in the top of the lineup. First 4 hitters last year provided the majority of the offense. But they feel now with Baerga in the 3rd spot, followed up by Albert Bell, and the addition of Eddie Murray in the 5th spot. And you move down to a healthy Sandy Alomar, Manny Ramirez, a rookie. They might be able to spread the offense throughout the entire lineup.
Well, the Indians took a big gamble at the end of the '89 season when they traded Joe Carter to the San Diego Padres. They got an unknown second baseman named Baerga. They got a known quantity, at least in the minor leagues, of catcher Sandy Alomar Jr. Sandy Joe Carter has gone on to impress in San Diego and in Toronto. There's a ground ball with the runner going. Johnson has to fire over to first. So Vizquel on at second, 2 out. Albert Bell coming up. Let's check in with Gary.
All right, Chris, you had the president at Fenway Park. They had local hero Nancy Kerrigan, and look at that toss. Got it all the way there. The silver medalist got things started, and then the real heat came. Roger Clemens had just struck out Lou Whitaker, strikes out Eric Davis as well, and they are batting in the bottom of the 1st of a scoreless game. Back to you.
All right, Gary. By the way, can we get on the record here and say this? A huge year coming up for Roger Clemens.
Oh, yeah.
We just know this.
He was really frustrated last year.
Yeah, well, that won't happen again.
No,
that's the end of that
he
discussion.
got a tremendous amount of pride. You can bet he's going to have a big year.
And if he does, Boston will be in it. No pitcher carries a team like Roger Clemens. Albert Bell went around, strike one against Randy Johnson. Bell with 38 home runs last year led the majors with 129 RBIs. So again, Baerga and Bell, these are guys that if they continue what they've been doing, they'll be excelling here for a long time. Those are the bleachers. Ground ball to third. Blowers look at the runner throw off the bag, but Tino Martinez made the tag on Bell. And Randy Johnson wriggles free. We played one at Jacobs Field, 1-0 Mariners. We're back here at Cleveland, 1-0 Mariners in the top of the second, and we told you Eddie Murray made history on this afternoon. They yanked first base out and gave it to him. Why, you say? God, he's only been a Cleveland Indian for 1 inning. He gets a souvenir from Jacobs Field. Well, there's a very good reason. At first base, Murray has now played 2,369 games. Jake Beckley from the 1890s and through 1907 played for Pittsburgh, the Giants, Cincinnati Reds, and St. Louis Cardinals. Had the old record. Lou Gehrig, I figured just that he would have the record. And Lou Gehrig is 4th on that list, as you saw, with Mickey Vernon 3rd. So Eddie Murray, yes, he has been around that long, and yes, he will wire the field. The count is 0-2 to the leadoff man here in the top of the second inning. Reggie Jefferson, Cleveland Indian last year, went over the Vizquel trade. Jefferson and Fermin for Vizquel, and they're all here reunited on this April afternoon. Jefferson will be the DH primarily for Lou Pinella's club against the right-handers. Mike Blowers will be the DH against the left-handed pitcher. That's his early plan this season. Curveball, slap foul. Part of this new ballpark here in Jacobs Field, there are suites, yes, up top, but there are special dugout suites. 12 seats to a suite. 6 seats in the front, 6 seats in the second row, and you can look right in from one of them into the respective team's dugouts. I mean, you talk about being close to the action. Those seats, Buck, are less than 60 feet 6 inches away from home plate. Those fans are closer to the batter than the pitcher is. Now that's unbelievable.
Well, they'll be able to hear the umpire and the catcher talking to the hitters, and hearing the pitchers questioning the umpire. Where was that pitch? Great experience down here. We got a good look at those seats right down at ground level.
To the pitch to Reggie Jefferson off speed. He held off, and the count is full. Jefferson is somebody that Lou Piniella knew. He was with Cincinnati in 1990, Lou's first year. He did not go around, and Dennis Martinez control problems continue. Always under control. Very Miller.
Chris, we take it to Yankee Stadium. The first inning rally against the Rangers' Kevin Brown that already scored a run on a sac fly. Wade Boggs had stolen second base in the double steal. Now he's going to really try the speed against Juan Gonzalez. He is meat. The Yankees did get a run out of it. Jimmy Key's got a 1-0 lead. He shut him out again in the second. They're batting in the second. Back to you.
All right, Gary Jefferson on first base. Dan Wilson, the former Cincinnati Red, the catcher, bunts it. Martinez takes a look at second, but did not have the time.
Denny Martinez bobbled that. He had the right idea on his mind. He got to it quickly. He's a very good fielder. He came off the mound in a hurry, got to the ball, but he bobbled it. That allowed Dan Wilson to advance the runner. Take a look at it. Not a great bunt. Wilson bunts it right back to the mound and pretty hard. But look at Martinez. He gets to it. He's thinking about second, but then he bobbles it momentarily. And once he does that, he has to take the sure out at first.
So the Mariners with a runner in scoring position. Wilson, who was impressed, gunning out Kenny Lofton, laying the sacrifice down. And the number 9 hitter, Felix the Cat Fermin. Swinging at the first pitch, it's to center field, but Lofton is there. Makes the grab. Jefferson back to second base. 2 out.
See, now that's what happens when you hit against your former team. They know how to play you perfect. Kenny Lofton was right there in his tracks to take the line drive. Fermin hit it right on the nose, but right at the center fielder. Felix Fermin came to the Mariners. Omar Vizquel, they swapped shortstops. Vizquel, the '93 Gold Glove shortstop, has a little bit more range. They're both very sure-handed. But Vizquel, he can really cover the ground, particularly when they play on artificial surfaces around the league.
Second baseman Rich, protect your car with Amaral. Steps up, and now Martinez over with a strike. Seemed like he needed a batter to swing at the first pitch and get him going, and now he seems a little more rhythm these last few pitches.
It only takes a pitcher a while to get comfortable on a mound, and think about it, this is the first time Martinez has thrown off this mound. And he likes to work to the corners, and it's going to take him a few pitches to get his sights set.
Pitch outside for a ball. It's 1-1. The Mariners lead it 1-0. They scored their run without a hit. A hit batter, pair of walks, and a sac fly by Eric Anthony. Griffey Jefferson, the leadoff second base. Ooh, inside. Fastball snapped Amaral back.
Sandy Alomar Jr. had back surgery last year. He's 6'5", but look at how he's able to really get down and give a great target. He moves inside there. Look how solid that target is. That glove looks like a bullseye in the middle of a target. If he can stay healthy and give them 135, 140 games behind the plate, their defense will improve dramatically.
2-1 pitch to Amaral, slug, but down, foul down the left field line, wide of third base. Mark Lewis over there. Indians have a dilemma at third. Not really a dilemma. They're looking for some sharp fielding. Lewis, former #1 pick, gets the start today because of the left-hand pitcher Johnson. But they would like Jim Thome, who hits great at third, but fields okay, catches okay. But Thome, can you hear me? When he throws the ball to first base, too many wild throws. So third base a potential problem spot for the Tribe. They have a pretty decent third baseman in uniform today. Buddy Bell, who was their infield instructor. Yeah, he looked at me and he was warming up before the game. He said, "Where are we? Where? This is here?" He's so excited to see this new park, city where he played for so many years. Full count to Amaral. Breaking ball is outside, and Dennis Martinez has walked his fourth batter.
You know, the Mariners are showing an awful lot of patience. Martinez really hasn't been that wild. He's been around the plate, but I think this is another indication of just how much influence Lou Piniella, as a former hitter and a good one, has had on this particularly young team by saying, listen, be more patient. You know, the pitcher's got to throw it over the plate. Don't give him too much credit. Get up there and get your pitch. Take the walks. You know, you don't have to hit home runs every time. Those walks work into runs as well.
If you like hits, you've tuned into the wrong game. We've yet to have the first hit at Jacobs Field. If you like base runners, you love this game. There have been 14 batters. 7 have reached base. 6 by a walk. 1 by a hit pitch. That was Edgar Martinez. He got hit in the wrist. And so this man, Mike Blowers, is up. Had to replace Martinez at third base. We'll get a report to you as soon as we can. Here's the pitch, Buck.
It's a fastball that really tails in. Martinez, during that at bat, hit a drive down the right field line. It just drifted out of play. It may have had enough distance to reach the seats. But then Dennis Martinez came up and in and caught Edgar on the wrist. We haven't heard as yet his status, but they took him out of the game after that first at bat.
A snapping fastball. It's 1-2 to Blowers. Well, he didn't want to monkey around with Blowers with Griffey on deck. That's faux show.
Yeah, he wants to get out of this inning here. He's got 2 outs and wants to go right after Mike Blowers. You don't want to have base runners on deck for Griffey Jr.
Jefferson is at second. Amaral at first. The 1-2 pitch. Chopped to first, and the veteran first baseman, Eddie Murray, makes the play, and the Mariners are stymied. Eddie Murray leads off for the Tribe when we return. Opening day doubleheader. When we're done here in Cleveland, we head out to Candlestick Park. Barry Bonds and the San Francisco Giants, a team that won 103 games last year, but yet we're not playing baseball in October. They plan to play it deep into October this year. They start their run against the Pittsburgh Pirates. That's following our game here, which is the bottom of the second. The Mariners lead the Indians 1-0, and Eddie Murray sends a fly ball off Randy Johnson to right field, which Jay Buhner first had trouble with in the sun, and then made the play.
Well, Eddie Murray got under a fastball and lifted it to right field. And Jay Buhner's a very good outfielder, but he was uncomfortable with this ball. Watch him track it. He has his sights on it then, and then the wind takes it back toward the wall, and he has to drift back to the wall. That's the report I got from the Indians about fly balls on Saturday when they played the Pirates here in exhibition. The winds really swirl around here, and you're really unsure of which direction they're headed.
Andy Maldonado, World Series hero for the Toronto Blue Jays in 1992. Remember that game 3, the first game ever played north of the border. Bottom of the 9th inning off Jeff Reardon, base hit, gave the Blue Jays the win and a 2-1 lead in the series. They would eventually win. He has another guy who is on the Cleveland Indians team that had plenty of postseason experience. Candy Maldonado, the Giants, and of course the Toronto Blue Jays. We show these lights because you see their vertical lights, they look different, but there's much less of a chance, Buck, of a fielder losing the ball in the lights. They'll get out of there in a hurry. That's not the real reason why they built them that way, but the fielders all have applauded that, and you can see they get off plenty of light. It's more to, you see nearby bridges outside of the stadium, and it's more to keep architecturally the sight lines of where the ballpark is downtown. But the fringe benefit is that. A diving play at second base by Amaral over to Martinez, and the Candyman is gone.
Well, we talked about the Mariners in their leading defense last year, committed just 90 errors. Rich Amaral moves in as the everyday second baseman. Maldonado hits the fastball sharply on the ground. Amaral goes to his left, gloves it, knows he's got a little time with Maldonado running, throws from his knees for the out. Gives the pitchers an awful lot of confidence when you've got that good defense behind you. Put it in play.
Sandy Alomar looks at strike one from Randy Johnson. The report on Edgar Martinez, as we had hoped, precautionary x-rays of the right wrist. When those reports become available, we'll let you know. Flowers is in at third. So Edgar Martinez back for half an inning this season. Slap wide of first base, past first base coach Davey Nelson, down the right field line.
Sandy Alomar was Rookie of the Year in 1990 when he first came over from the Mariners. You can see he's not had a whole lot of fun facing Randy Johnson. Not many hitters do. 308 strikeouts. Now Johnson is in the position where he understands how he's going to stay in the strike zone. He has really modified his mechanics, kept his delivery compact. But getting back to Alomar, it's a situation where Sandy, coming back from back surgery last year, really feels physically fit. Here's a guy that played 51 games in 91, 89 games in 92, 64 games in 93, been hurt. Johnson working him outside again. That one was a breaking ball that missed 2-2. 2 outs. The base is clear. Bottom of the second inning. 1-0 Mariners. Sac fly by Eric Anthony. Still waiting for the first hit here at Jacobs Field. Foul back off the facade of the third deck. Kind of a, that sounds like it's hit a monster shot. Low sight lines here. Most every seat close to the action. Again, if you tune in late capacity, 42,400. It's a far cry from the, what, 75, 76,000 in Municipal Stadium. Sawed him off. Amaral to Martinez.
And Alomar is gone. When we return, Ken Griffey Jr. and the Mariners will stride to the plate, leading 1-0. ESPN's presentation of Major League Baseball is brought to you by Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires. 1-0 Seattle. Top of the third inning, and the Goodyear blimp Spirit of Akron is floating overhead, providing our aerial views of the action on the field and of this beautiful brand new ballpark. The Goodyear blimps have been flying over major sporting events for over 68 years and had a short commute today from Akron to Cleveland, and we are glad that they helped us out. And just a beautiful day that everyone here will remember for a long, long time. Ken Griffey Jr. walked on 4 pitches his first time up. This time he swings at an off-speed delivery from Dennis Martinez and fouls it back.
Dennis came out in this ball game maybe with a little bit too much adrenaline. He was missing. You can see now he's starting to catch up with the strikes. He was walking hitters, putting runners on base. Eventually, the batter that he hit, Martinez, scored the only run of the ball game.
Good breaking ball over that Griffey took for a strike, and so Dennis this time ahead of Griffey, 0-2. Missed a little bit inside, 1-2.
Well, that's a pretty good pitch. He had good movement on that ball. You could see that it froze Griffey Jr., and then there was enough movement to bring it back toward the plate. Larry Barnett, the umpire, felt that it was inside, but that was a pretty good pitch. Try it again.
Struck him out. So a little bit different this time around for Dennis Martinez against Ken Griffey Jr.
I think what happened there, Ken Griffey Jr. was expecting something outside, and Martinez went back-to-back with inside fastballs. Missed with the first one, but then finds the mark. You can see it was a very tentative swing by Jr. He was trying to bring his hands in and just foul that ball off to stay alive, but he couldn't make any contact. That's interesting because Jr. expected Dennis to throw him soft pitches to the inside part of the plate and nothing hard. So already he's been crossed up by the wily veteran Martinez.
Well, Dennis has crossed up a few hitters in his 18th year now in the major leagues. Here's Jay Buhner, who walked his first time up. First strikeout registered at Jacobs Field by Dennis Martinez against Ken Griffey Jr. Still waiting for that first hit. First RBI goes to Eric Anthony. First run scored to Martinez.
Take a look at Martinez's delivery. Really difficult to find the ball with that big high leg kick and how he cups his body. You know, last year he got off to a slow start, 1-4 in April, but then he really came on to finish 15-9. And he's really been encouraged. Look at those numbers. Just a handful of pitchers to win 100 games in both the National League and the American League.
Ground ball to short. Vizquel. Murray. 2 down. Now the open air concourses here. There's the bakery and the food, and you see from where you go buy your food, your beverage, etc., you can still hear, you can still see the action. You don't go down a portal in the third inning to get a hot dog and then miss 2 innings of the game. Really well thought out for the fans. Also here down that right field line, here from where you saw the shot come from, as Eric Anthony looks at ball 1. Some of the seats have been angled 8 to 12 degrees toward the plate. That's so that crick in your neck at the end of a 9-inning game is a little bit less. They liked it so much at Camden here. This one's hit to right field. Back goes Manny Ramirez. It's gone. The first hit, the first home run, and the only 2 RBIs thus far in the history of Jacobs Field for Eric Anthony.
The first baseman, number
2-0 Mariners.
Martinez.
Well, they expect Anthony to give them a little more pop to neutralize tough right-handed hitters. And take a look at this swing. It's that fastball that drifted out over the plate about letter high, and he ripped it. Only question about that ball was whether or not it was high enough to clear the fence. Anthony doesn't have traditional home run hitter trajectory on most of the balls he hits hard. They're real rockets, line drives, and that one got out of here.
Dennis Martinez flew out to right his first time up. I don't think the crowd had a feeling that was going to be a home run ball. That ball just doesn't seem to need to be drilled down the right field line. That's our early observation. Murray handles it, and Tino Martinez is gone. But Eric Anthony, he's been imperial thus far. 2-0 Mariners. Back in the bottom of the third inning, the Cleveland crowd quiet thus far as Eric Anthony has been the hitting star. Sac fly and his first home run as a Mariner. And Seattle and Randy Johnson lead the Indians 2-0 here in the bottom of the third. The youngster Manny Ramirez, who was Baseball America's minor league player of the year last year, came up for 22 games in September with Cleveland. Hit 2 home runs both at Yankee Stadium, same game. Flies to Buhner, and there's 1 out here in the Indians' third inning. Now Randy Johnson walked his first 2 guys that he's faced, but has retired all the other Indians. And things turned around for Randy in the middle of last year. Yes, he had a talk with Nolan Ryan, but on July 23rd, he had an outing that bothered his manager, Lou Piniella. We'll talk about that in a moment. And Johnson was a different pitcher after July 23rd, an outing at Fenway Park.
Actually, the outing prior to the 23rd was in Fenway Park against the Red Sox when he had a lead and they coughed it up. But then against the Indians on the 23rd, an inning in the third, his shortest outing in his career. And after that game, he had a discussion with Lou Piniella, and Piniella challenged Randy Johnson to really work a little harder to try to improve upon his conditioning and stamina so he could take that 95-mile-an-hour fastball late into the season. And Johnson himself felt like he had always worked hard, but Lou said, yeah, you got to be more dominant. If you work hard, maintain your conditioning, you can use that fastball in the middle of the plate. You can challenge hitters late through the season, and the consistency of those numbers that you saw prove that paid off for him.
Count is 2-2 for Randy Johnson against Mark Lewis. A pitch ago, clocked at 96 miles an hour. Foul back by Lewis. Randy, because you equate a fastball pitcher to maybe a long hitter in golf, so he's the pitcher's equivalent to John Daly's grip it and rip it on the mound. He gets the ball, he fires it back.
Well, he has a kind of fastball that makes Sammy Ellis excited. Would love to have.
Well, he may not look it right there, but he is excited. Trust me.
He is very excited about Randy Johnson and what he has done the last couple of seasons. You know, you have a pretty good idea Johnson's going to give you that fastball, but tough to catch up to him. Last year on opening day against the Blue Jays, with the 3 best hitters in the league, Johnson struck out 14 for Lou Piniella.
Well, in his career, Johnson 1,126 strikeouts going into the season in 1,073 innings. So that's more than 1 an inning. Johnson will handle the weak tapper by Lewis and flip over to first base, and there's 2 outs.
Chris mentioned that Randy Johnson had a conversation with Nolan Ryan about pitching and mechanics. Take a look at his delivery. Remember, he's 6'10", and watch how well he's balanced and how he finishes up. Squared to the plate. Right there, he's in a real good fielding position. Gets the little tapper back to the mound. But he says that visit with Nolan and Tom House about not only pitching, but about the mechanics of throwing the ball really helped him understand that if he finishes up more balanced, he will be more consistent.
Kenny Lofton up. He walked his first time up and was caught stealing by the catcher Dan Wilson. Flowers in on the grass at third. More on Randy Johnson. His 308 strikeouts last year led the major leagues by far. The next most was Jose Rio with 227. So he really lapped the field. Only 9 pitchers in the history of Major League Baseball have registered more than Johnson's 308 strikeouts last year. And there's a strikeout for the strikeout leader, Randy Johnson. Another 1-2-3 inning for Johnson and the Mariners, who lead it 2-0. Back here at Jacobs Field, where the only hitting has been done by the Seattle Mariners. Eric Anthony, solo home run, also has a sac fly. 2-0 Seattle, and swinging at the first pitch, former Indian Reggie Jefferson. Vizquel to Murray. There's one out. Let's check in with Gary Miller.
All right, Chris, Fenway Park, where Clemens has been mowing him down. Mike Moore against Andre Dawson. Oh, with authority. The Hawk had 13 last year. Hits one in his first at bat this year. Mike Moore led the majors last year with 35 gopher balls. Back to you.
The Hawk still going strong. Remember the 400 home run club, Andre Dawson. This is Dan Wilson, the young catcher who sacrificed in the first inning.
Wilson played in Cincinnati. That's where Piniella was impressed by him. So when they had an opportunity to bring him over here, they went out and got him and made an outstanding throw to nail Kenny Lofton in the first inning. They talk about, well, he doesn't hit much, but let me tell you, with the confidence that he will gain as the everyday catcher, that hitting might come around.
Watching that home run by one of our favorite people in the game, Andre Dawson, is home run number 413. There are only 5 guys that have over 400 homers and are not in the Hall of Fame. Obviously, Dawson, one of them, still playing. Eddie Murray here, still playing. Darrell Evans at 414 is going to have a tough time, as will Dave Kingman at 442. Dave Winfield at 453 and Mike Schmidt 548. Well, when Schmidt is eligible, I think he might get in.
Look at the shortstop playing a step toward the hole there against Wilson.
Skied on the outfield grass. Vizquel takes charge. Calls off Baerga. Drifts behind second base and makes the play. There's 2 outs. You know, and I want to take a personal moment here if I can. I don't do this very often, but I would like to wish my mother-in-law, a very dear lady, Alice Alexinski, who underwent about a 9 or 10 hour liver transplant operation yesterday afternoon and yesterday night. I want to wish her a speedy recovery. She's planning to watch this game. Don't know whether she's able to today, but we love you, Mom.
Yeah. Speedy recovery.
And lose
Easter Sunday. Huh?
Yeah, Easter Sunday. Lose Lou Piniella's son.
Son Derek, 15 today. Lou was playing in New York. His son. Wanted to wish him a happy birthday.
And it's opening day. You're allowed to do these things. Felix Fermin. The count is 0-1. And Martinez snaps that one outside. 1-1. 2-0 here. The Mariners lead it. Bottom of the 3rd inning. Kind of a quiet crowd. All sorts of anticipation. The president on hand. Unveiled the plaques. Here's a Murray knocks it down. Can he scramble to it? Oh, he almost takes Dennis's head off and fires it wide. So Fermin gets to the bag in time, and we'll see how they score. Tough play for Eddie Murray, but yet a play that he's often made. They'll give him an error, Buck.
Yeah, and I think he'll agree with that. You can see he was right there in front of it, and he had a good shot at it. Let's take a look at the play here. Fermin hit a shot, but Murray got over to it. Actually hit on the heel of his glove, and then it went into foul ground. He was scrambling for it, and he wheels and fires, but it's wide of the mark at first base. Well, Martinez is there, but you can see that it is off the mark, and Fermin reaches base with Eddie Murray's error. Beautiful afternoon here in Cleveland.
And a fan on the field, so they escort her off. They bounce her out of the stadium, and we'll get back to action. Don't forget, this is the first of a double dip here on ESPN. It's the Pirates. Andy Van Slyke, a big spring after his injury-riddled season last year. And Barry Bonds, what sort of season does he have in store this year in San Francisco? I'd say last year was pretty good. Tell you what kind of season he thinks he has in store. A World Series season. He hasn't had one of those. Although the Dodgers will have a lot to say about that in the National League West. Well, they clear the field, and Dennis Martinez has been warming up. And we return to action. Fermin on in the air, and leadoff hitter Rich Amaral up. It's the fourth inning. He's already been up 3 times. Granted a second and has walked. Pitch up top. Amaral showed bunt. Pulled it back. Canada's 1-0.
Well, that's a pretty good idea by Amaral because he's got Mark Lewis playing third base today. Lewis is a natural shortstop. He didn't play third base last year. So he took a peek down at third. Now Lewis has come in a couple of steps and has shortened up. So Mark Lewis isn't really that comfortable over there. Pinella's got to be pleased with the way Amaral's thinking at the plate.
Rich Amaral from Visalia, California, went to school at UCLA, 8 years in the minors before he finally made the big show. And you like to see guys like this succeed. 83 to 90 in the minor leagues, where he stole 327 bases. He's not going to be a big base stealing threat here. Has 19 last year. Could steal 25 to 30. Perseverance. Always a nice story when it pays off.
Well, the one thing about a guy like Amaral, who played so many games in the minor leagues, is he understands the value of advancing a runner, using the bunt, keeping an inning alive with a 2-out bunt down the third base line. These are the intangibles that Lou Piniella loves to have on his ball club. Remember, Pinella's used to playing on championship caliber ball clubs. That's what he did as a player in the heyday with the Yankees. So he knows that he's going to have some of the Rich Amarals come through with the fundamentals of the game to win. And Griffey Jr., he's going to hit the home runs, and Randy Johnson's going to get the strikeouts. But you got to have guys like Rich Amaral produce and be productive for you to win.
Lou working on that gum. Sees his club up 2-0 here. And Amaral's worked the count to 3-0 against Dennis Martinez, who has struggled with control today. That's in there for a strike. Martinez walked 2 in the first, 2 in the second. Has not walked anyone since, but is in danger of doing it right here. Dennis Martinez, a model of consistency with the Expos. Who started off as a fine pitcher for the Orioles, had some problems, really righted himself in Montreal and really became a favorite up there.
Well, he had that perfect game against the Dodgers out in California.
That'll make you a favorite.
Different move there, and Fermin has to dive back in first.
Dennis Martinez has won 208 games in his career. The most he's ever won is 16. Done that on 4 different occasions. Twice with the Orioles, twice with the Expos. There goes the runner. Ball is skied to left field, where Albert Bell makes the catch. Amaral and the Mariners are retired, heading to the bottom of the 4th inning. Baerga and company need to do some work at the plate. Bottom of the 4th here at Jacobs Field. First major league regular season game ever here and being enjoyed, and he really is enjoying himself. President Clinton on hand, taking all sorts of pictures, signing autographs. So if the president is here, you know his cabinet cannot be far away. And somewhere up there, yes, his Secretary of Defense and Secretary of Offense. Chris Berman and Buck Martinez with you. And we're glad the president decided to drop by and talk to us about.
He's having a good day here.
He's going from here to Charlotte. Omar Vizquel, Carlos Baerga, Albert Bell, 2-3-4 against Randy Johnson. This, by the way, for your trivia buffs, is the first time that the Mariners have ever played in front of the President of the United States. They have entertained royalty before. Hit by Vizquel to left field. Eric Anthony's there and squeezes it. Last June, well, I'll tell you the story in a minute. Here's Gary Miller.
Chris, take it to Yankee Stadium. Paul O'Neill's 2-run double gave Jimmy Key a 3-0 lead. Now Will Clark in his Ranger debut, and he rips a double into the right field corner. That's Chris James coming around to score to break the shutout. Rangers have broken into Key. It's 3-1 Yanks, though. Back to you.
All right, Gary, thank you. There's one out here, and Carlos Baerga, who nubbed one back to the mound his first time up. Well, we told you that the president on hand here, the closest the Mariners have ever come to playing in front of a president before. Last June, they played in front of the Prime Minister of Mongolia. They won that game. They're hoping that Clinton can bring the same sort of luck.
Now, how would you find that out?
I called the far reaches of this park for this minutia. Don't ask me to explain how you throw a curveball, but I can tell you that the Mariners are 1-0 with the Prime Minister of Mongolia. You didn't know that, did you?
Did you think he probably knew what a hit and run was?
I doubt it. Baerga is out. Fermin to Tino Martinez, and this will bring up Albert Bell. You got to have a dog when you're at the park. You have to have one. No better fare. I'm sure we'll get the report tonight on
Jacobs Field's hot dogs.
That's right, Jacobs Field's hot dog. Maybe we're the Secretary of Food, of Agriculture at least. Albert Bell, who can go deep. Randy Johnson, who can throw deep. Classic matchup of power against fastball. Cleveland fans waiting for the first Indian hit against Randy Johnson.
Look at Johnson talking to himself, talking about getting his arm up. Look at how many 90-mile-an-hour pitches he's thrown today. 11 in the third inning. He's really locked in. You know, I think both of these starters today showed some effects of opening day. Their routine was disrupted. First pitch ceremonies, the president coming out here, Dennis Martinez warmed up and then sat down and then warmed up again. And then he came out and walked for it. Randy Johnson walked the first two batters he faced. So I think now they're both starting to be more comfortable on the mound. But anytime a starter has his natural routine disrupted, it has a tendency to throw them off kilter. Randy Johnson was here yesterday talking about already preparing for this start today. Didn't want to be distracted.
And it's 2-2 to Albert Bell. Johnson walked the first two batters he faced, has retired everyone since. Oh, right through the wickets of Tino Martinez. Bell is aboard. It won't be a hit, obviously, but the Indians with their first base runner since the first inning. Power versus power. You pitch to a guy like Albert Bell. Does that worry Randy Johnson?
It's a tip of the hat when they get a base hit or a home run off you, but you have to go with your strength. And, you know, I'm going to go up against a lot of fastball hitters, but I'm a fastball pitcher, so I kind of like that confrontation. And sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. And so you learn from your mistakes, hopefully, and, you know, you capitalize on your achievements.
Well, a mistake by the first baseman, Tino Martinez, who gets the error. Each first baseman has an error. And so now Johnson has to be particular with Eddie Murray. Count is 1-0. Murray needs only 180 hits to get to the 3,000 mark. I mean, that's something when you're also talking about a guy 21st on the home run list, 441, 17th on the RBI list, 1662. His next home run will tie him with Dave Kingman at 442 for 20th. At this point, the Indians would just like a safety of any sort against Randy Johnson. The count is 2-1. 2 out, runner at first.
Well, what Eddie Murray does for this lineup is he provides legitimate protection for Albert Bell. 17 years, Eddie Murray has driven in 75 runs or more. He's a switch hitter, so you don't have to worry about righty or lefty.
Ground ball to short. Fermin over to Amaral, and the Indians are done. Randy Johnson continues to overmatch the Cleveland Indians. We'll be back. Back at Cleveland, top of the 5th inning, and swinging at the first pitch and dropping in a base hit. Mike Blowers, guy that didn't even know he'd be playing today, but Edgar Martinez was hit on the wrist in the first inning. Blowers went into the bottom of the first inning to play third base, and Blowers is aboard with just the 2nd hit of the afternoon. The April showers bring Mike Blowers. I don't know, but it does bring Ken Griffey Jr. up to the plate. He's walked and struck out against Dennis Martinez. 2-0. Mariners. Top of the 5th. Oh, Griff way out in front of that one.
Interesting, this at bat. When you think back last time up, Ken Griffey Jr. was fooled by Dennis Martinez. 0-2 count. Dennis missed inside with the fastball, but came right back with the same pitch and got Griffey swinging. He was really expecting something away from it. Let's watch how this sequence plays itself out. That time he came with the curveball inside. So right now, Dennis Martinez is doing a number on Ken Griffey's head.
Griffey's the only man that he struck out this afternoon, Buck. Fouled it back. You know what's interesting is that, I mean, for Randy Johnson to have this mastery and yet to allow a hit, but yet to have struck out only one himself through 4 innings is odd.
Well, I think that's how come he has become a winning pitcher now. He knows that he has to throw his breaking ball over. He can't just rear back and try to strike everyone out. I think he understands pitching, and he credits Nolan Ryan with a lot of that thought process.
A little number in front of the plate. Alomar will throw it on to Murray. Griffey is gone. Blowers down to second base, so there's 1 out.
The right fielder, number 19, Jay Buhner.
Another good sequence called by Alomar. Griffey's frustrated, fires his helmet. He got that little tapper out in front of the plate. He was sitting on something a little bit harder inside, and Dennis went back door with an off-speed breaking ball and got the little tapper in front of the plate. You know, that's all you try to do as a pitcher, to disrupt the timing of the hitters. Keep them off guard. Don't ever let them sit on one speed of pitch. And Martinez is the master of changing speeds both on his fastball and his breaking pitch.
Jay Buhner has walked and grounded to shortstop. 2-0. Seattle leads Cleveland here in the top of the 5th of the debut of Jacobs Field. President Clinton on hand. There are 42,400 seats, and I think there are 42,400 Secret Service agents who have accompanied the president here today. So maybe they needed the old park for at least today if the president was going to show up. Hit to center field. Kenny Lofton drifts over, makes the catch. Throw comes in quickly. Nothing doing. Well, our Wahoo cam, as we're going to call it, our moving camera, is in the Terrace Club, open to the public until game time down the left field line. You talk about a good looking place. You look out over the field, can watch batting practice. Anybody can. And here's the view from inside the Terrace Club. Fans enjoying themselves. And great view, panoramic view. They let the game be on view for the public from just about anywhere you go. We call that user-friendly and very smart plan. Eric Anthony, who homered his last time up. He's accounted for both Mariner runs. A sac fly in the first, a line drive home run that traveled 353 feet, about 11 feet off the ground. Went into the Mariner bullpen. That was in the third inning. Flowers, the runner at second base. Up top and high. Way outside.
There's nothing better for a new player like Eric Anthony to have an impact right off the bat. Really validates your coming over in the trade, and all of a sudden now he feels like he's already made a contribution to this club.
Check swing. Alomar flips it to Murray, and it beats Anthony by a half a step. Good hustle by Alomar. A way to get rid of the ball quickly. We're heading to the bottom of the fifth inning. The Indians looking to scratch through against Randy Johnson. Randy Johnson has mastered the Cleveland Indians through 4 innings. Maldonado, Alomar, and Manny Ramirez, 6, 7, 8 in the lineup. Will try to bust through. Candy Maldonado and Eddie Murray, we believe, are the only players in the majors that there could be another one, but they've each homered against 27 teams. Maldonado has not homered against Florida, so obviously here with Cleveland, that won't happen. Eddie Murray has not homered against, obviously, the Baltimore Orioles. He's been in the National League since he left the Orioles until now. That would give him all 28 teams. Maldonado and Murray, 27 different ones. Of course, nobody's even singled off Randy Johnson today, so maybe that's a moot point.
Here he is in the 5th inning. Those 2 walks came the first 2 batters that he faced. Interesting aspect, just 1 strikeout. Take a look at this. This happened between innings. Catcher Dan Wilson talking to Randy Johnson. See Randy twirling his fingers there as if to say, maybe I'm having too much movement as I get set to throw the pitch. That's a conversation that will happen from time to time. Dan Wilson, working with Randy Johnson for a first season, may have noticed something during the previous inning. Randy might have been moving the ball as he was trying to get the grip for the breaking ball. In between innings, he comes in and says, Randy, I don't really know if this is accurate or not, but I've got an idea that there might be a little bit too much movement in your glove.
Ground ball is short. Scooped up by Fermin. 1 out here in the Indians' 5th.
The catcher, number 15, Sandy Alomar.
Another view overhead of the downtown area, the Gateway area. Jacobs Field, nestled in downtown Cleveland. There's our Wahoo cam from the fans sitting or standing atop the 19-foot Jacobs ladder. They're viewing the game from the left field foul pole, where there's some standing room available, and not far from that are the bleachers, which are over the scoreboard in left center field. And those bleacher seats are just $6. And that's a pretty good bargain. You are not that far away from the action in those seats below the largest scoreboard in any ballpark. So $6, a relative bargain. Sandy Alomar holds off. The count is 1-2. The 1-2 pitch on the way. Foul back. You saw those bleacher seats a moment ago. A la Fenway, both the American and National League. Well, Fenway used to have both. They only have the one now, one of the leagues in the American League. But you see the scoreboards in the wall. All the out-of-town scores visible in that 19-foot Jacob's ladder. And, of course, Gary will be bringing you more details. Johnson misses wildly, but with nobody on, who cares?
Yeah, that one just got away from him. He's been awfully consistent in the strike zone after those first 2 batters. And like that breaking pitch may have just slipped out of his hands.
Again, it's 2-2 to Sandy Alomar Jr. That fastball up top and outside. So the Indian fans see they can go to 3-2. They're hopeful that the Indians can get their 4th base runner of the day. First 2 men of the game walk. Lofton and Vizquel. Bell reached on an error by Tino Martinez the last inning. And now Sandy Alomar Jr. is aboard with a walk. With Manny Ramirez coming up, here's Gary.
Taking to Wrigley Field, where the president's wife threw out the first pitch. Longtime Cub fan, and the bottom of the first, Doc Gooden facing the new leadoff man, Carl Tuffy Rhodes. Take it away, Harry.
Swung on. High fly ball. Way back. Might be. Could be. And is. Holy cow.
Indeed. Harry Carey, in his 50th season as a broadcaster, describes the Cubs' 1-0 lead. Back to our man, Boomer.
Now that's baseball. Harry already in midseason form.
Hey, a leadoff home run for the Cubs.
This could be their year. That's great.
Well, they're in that new NL Norris division where anything's possible. National League has 3 divisions this year, only 1 as a defending champ. Chew on that one. As Manny Ramirez, the youngster, looks at ball 2, and Wilson will go out and talk with Randy Johnson. Count is 2-0, and he's just walked Sandy Alomar. So Johnson, for the first time since the first 2 batters of the game, having a bit of control problems.
Well, that's got Lou Piniella up and pacing around in the dugout. You know, Randy Johnson, I asked him about working with a new catcher. He said it's just a matter of communication. You just have to tell him what you're comfortable with and how you like to work hitters. And all you have to do is be aware that you've got to communicate with Dan Wilson and let him know what you believe works for you. All of a sudden, Johnson has come out of his delivery. There in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th inning, he had his breaking ball over, threw it anywhere he wanted to. He had the fastball over the strike zone.
Breaking ball over for a strike. Ramirez taking all the way. The count is 3-1. Manny Ramirez, the man played only 22 games in the majors last September. Here he is, opening day, right field, New Park, facing Randy Johnson. 21 years of age. Ground ball to short. For me, fires onto Tino Martinez, and that will do it. The Indians are gone here in the 5th. 2-0 Mariners. Top of the 6th inning here at Jacobs Field. Eric Anthony's home run and sac fly, and Randy Johnson's pitching. And the reason why the Mariners lead the Cleveland Indians 2-0 in the debut of beautiful Jacobs Field. As we pan from the right field foul pole over to center field. Well, yeah, there's a pregame picnic area. Reason you see nobody there right now is because that's kind of in the batter's eye. You see those trees there? So there's some trees. The wish of the Cleveland fans. They say, we would like to be raking leaves, Buck, 1 October, which means if we're bothering to rake them, that means the Indians are playing postseason ball. That's just 405 to straightaway center field. So again, you're right close to the batting practice and the action while you have your picnic lunch.
Yeah, all of the fans in this ballpark have a very good view and feeling that they're right on top of the action.
6, 7, 8 for the Mariners here. Tino Martinez, Reggie Jefferson, Dan Wilson. Martinez 0 for 2 and an error. Chris Berman and Buck Martinez with you on opening day. Well, we debuted the Marlins, their first game last year. They beat the Dodgers. The place was rocking. The problem is that they didn't have to bat against Randy Johnson. So the Cleveland fans are ready to rock. Randy Johnson is not giving them anything to rock about. Way out in front of that is Tino Martinez, and the count is 2-2. Action now in the Cleveland bullpen. And Wahoo Cam is out in the pen. That's the middle of the three mouths. Eric Kerplunk throwing in the Cleveland bullpen. That's out in right center field. Back at the plate, Tino Martinez swings and misses. There's one out.
The designated hitter number 18, Reggie Jefferson.
There's Plunk's view. There's the plate, and there's the other plate. Reggie Jefferson walked, grounded to short. Breaking ball misses outside, 1-0. Jefferson went from Cincinnati to Cleveland to now Seattle. Little chopper, backhanded by Baerga, double clutches, and he will beat that out. So a play Baerga should have made, and he does not. And Jefferson is aboard. Well, Michael Jordan dreaming about some plays that he'd like to make. He'll start out this season in Double-A Birmingham. Tonight, our Outside the Line special at 8 o'clock Eastern Time is Dream Spring. Bob Lee company talked to Michael Jordan about his dream to play Major League Baseball. And he's now in the minors and willing to work on it, which is great.
You know, with Jordan in Double-A Birmingham, a chance to have quite a media circus when Matt Suzuki, the young Japanese pitcher for the Mariners, and Jordan meet up. Matt Suzuki was a real attraction for the Mariners in spring training, and they think that he may have had a bad arm and he didn't have real good velocity, but John McLaren, the bullpen coach, was telling me he saw him throw 93, 94 miles an hour, and he's just 18 years old. Awfully interesting when Jordan meets Suzuki in Double-A.
Well, the Mariners are not used to much media following them around. Obviously, with Junior, Ken Griffey Jr., they have a bona fide star, but there were 60 or 65 members of the Japanese media every day following an 18-year-old's every move, which they hope will back off now in the minors, although I don't think that much. I don't know that for a fact, but 18 years old, he and Chan-Ho Park, all of a sudden, they were two of the stories this spring. Was Park the Korean pitcher that made the Dodgers club? Mac, wake up, little Suzuki. See, well, he'll have a nickname before he gets
already, huh?
Well, you got to be ready, Buck. You know, I mean, you've been chopping at the bit here all this offseason. Dan Wilson sacrifice, popped to short. 2-0 Mariners. Top of the 6th. Opening day at Jacobs Field. Will we have a little more history than we originally bargained for? X-rays on Edgar Martinez, by the way, were negative, so that's the good news. A bruised right wrist day to day. The teams are off tomorrow, don't play again till Wednesday night. So that's good news in addition to the lead that Lou Pinilla's club has. Lou didn't want to start the season losing his third baseman again.
Edgar Martinez missed 111 games last year because of a hamstring injury.
Hit to center field. Lofton drifts back towards the rubberized warning track and makes the catch. If there's one fault, it's the same as Camden Yards. I don't know why, Buck, they have this, I don't know if they call it tartan turf or the rubberized track. For a catcher, because that continues all the way behind the plate. I mean, you'll see an outfielder dive occasionally on it, and that's smarts. For a catcher who likes to slide back for a ball that might get past him behind the plate, that hurts. That's not dirt. I don't know what the love affair is with that.
No, it's
Baltimore has it too. That's the only negative we could find, in my opinion. A little flare that Baerga will squeeze. And Fermin is gone. Indians trying to solve Randy Johnson. We'll be back. Play shirtless into Bronx this afternoon.
And they're hitting the ball out of the ballpark again. Jimmy Key on the mound, 2 home runs right there. I like that club. The American League East is going to be very interesting.
Loaded. Mark Lewis, Kenny Lofton, Omar Vizquel here in the bottom of the 6th inning. 9-1-2 against Randy Johnson. The upset of the day is that Johnson has 1 strikeout through 5. No one on the Mariner bench is complaining about his performance.
Lou Piniella and Lee Elia, his dugout lieutenant.
Lee Elia Kiriakou.
I'm not up on all of those extra.
You remember, yeah, the old. You remember the man from Uncle, don't you? Did he go around? They appealed down to first base. Umpire Greg Koski said no, he did not. Count is 2-2 to Mark Lewis. He holds off, and the count is full. Lewis, 24 years of age, #1 draft pick in '88. Down the Cincinnati area, Hamilton, Ohio, trying to get the Indians started, and he may have done so with a walk. Their 5th base runner. Only one man has ever thrown a no-hitter on opening day, April 16th, 1940. The man whose statue is outside of this park, Bob Feller. 30-degree weather. The Indians were at Comiskey Park against the White Sox. One of the retired numbers here by the Cleveland Indians. Randy Johnson, can he? Bouncer up the middle. And Lofton is thrown out by the shortstop Fermin, and now they're going to say that the runner Lewis has gone out of the baseline. They're going to get a double play. Is that it?
Well, we're going to have an argument over this. Mike Hargrove's going to come out of the dugout. Lewis is called out for avoiding the tag by Felix Fermin, and Hargrove's going to go, wait a minute, he didn't even go out of the baseline. Al Clark's the umpire at second base. Fermin made a very heads-up play. I don't think he ever had the intention, once he sized up where the base runner was, to tag him, but he swiped at him. Hargrove saying he didn't go out of the baseline. The base runner's got 3 feet. Al Clark said no, he went out of the line, he avoided the tag, and the rule's clear. So Hargrove quickly goes back to the dugout. Take a look at the replay. Now look at Fermin, just a very short little jab toward the tag, and then goes quickly to get Lofton. Take another look at it. He sizes it up. Can I tag him? Nope, I can't do that. But look at Lewis. He avoids the tag and goes around, and then throwing quickly in a hurry to get Lofton because he knows his speed. What a good play by Fermin.
Omar Vizquel pops in foul ground to Mike Flowers. The fans booing. That's really the most we've heard out of him in a while. Randy Johnson is the reason.